A big problem for me growing up was how to maximize the amount of time I could spend on the computer. Because it wasn't like now, where people are getting their kids a fucking laptop for daycare. There was like one computer for every family, just the family computer. And it sat in the computer room, even though there was like 10 other things in there. Now, we'd always had a computer since my dad needed one for work, but we still only ever had the one. It all came down to time and space. Minutes and megabytes. Who got to use it when, and how much space we each get. Constantly being blamed for whose games took up a bunch of space, or how much downloading was going on, who has an essay to write, and who has to do the taxes for the family. Fuck, if I had to share a computer now, I'd probably cut my own head off. So, in my depression, I decided to undergo a little retail therapy. I had no real money to speak of, but I did have a sweet-ass line of credit that was completely unused. I resolved to buy my very own first computer. I wanted something sleek, sexy, compatible with all the shit we had at school. I was getting tired of Windows and its seemingly non-stop parade of fucking problems and instabilities, and I was not gonna learn Linux like some ANCAP freak trading orphan hearts for Pepes. I wanted a Mac. The new ad campaigns were everywhere. The all-new iMac, just released that month. Now with Intel Pentium processors for a fraction of the old cost. Simple interface, intuitive control, specifically designed for your generation. Adobe, design, drafting, all that stupid shit. The only real drawback is you can't play games on it, and you might spend all your time in a Starbucks writing your stupid-ass novel. When was the last time you even told your parents you appreciated them? I didn't really care about the games part. I mean, I was up to my asshole in homework. I had no time to even look at the half dozen consoles I already owned. And I could work on my novel later. So I went to the bank and I drove to the Yorkdale Mall to go to what was then the only Apple store in Canada. Jeez, a lot changes in a decade. You know, back then they were still using those Subway stamps for the free sandwiches? Jesus. Anyway, I brought that big white son of a bitch home and finally I had a computer. Never again would I have to worry about how much time I was spending on it or who else needed it. I could do whatever I wanted to it, whenever I wanted. Oh, those sweet gigabytes were mine. I could finally work or play to my heart's content in my room till all hours of the night without a care in the fucking world. And I bought it with my own money. Well, the bank's money, which is future me's money, plus more money also on top of that. Now, I just know a lot of you have been rolling your eyes at me buying a Mac. I want a computer where I don't have to know how to code in order to use it. I want a car where I don't have to be a mechanic in order to drive it. You guys are seriously fucking annoying. And don't get me wrong, the cult of Mac are just as bad. It all comes down to two groups of pretentious elitists arguing that the other side is more pretentious and more elitist. When, let's get real, both of them are basically identical. Macs are PCs these days. It doesn't even matter. Just let people like what they like. To anyone on the outside, these things are basically the same. Like Coke and Pepsi, Nintendo and Sega, Burger King and being force-fed a bucket of vomit. You got PC users boasting that they're too deliberately ignorant to remember to push command instead of control, like not learning is an accomplishment. And you got Mac users thinking that buying something expensive somehow makes them creative. It's like fucking coffee brands. Don't get me started on coffee brands. Plus, all my friends said I should get a Mac. Years after they all told me to get a PC. Years after they all told me to get a Mac. Years after the fucking assholes. But I had it. My first computer. My personal computer. We'd go through a lot together. I had that thing for 6 years, which for computers is pretty good. Never once had a problem with that fucker. Doesn't really matter how much it cost or what it looks like or what make or model it is, or even if you know what you're doing. I mean, these days I have and use both Mac and PC every day, sometimes simultaneously. What really matters is that it's yours. The relationship we have with our computers is probably how lots of people feel about their cars. That sort of companionship, that reliance. People have that thing that connects them to the world, that makes them feel like they're part of things, like they can get anywhere and do or see or know anything. And for me, then, that was my computer. I really just sort of needed to feel connected to people and like I had a friend. Holy shit, that is fucking depressing as hell. Oh God. Fuck it. All right, that's the script. We're using that.